Hi, this is John Wu, Director of Codify Legal Publishing, here on behalf of the National Law Student section of the Canadian Bar Association. This is 5 minutes, 20 questions. With me here today is a very special guest. He's a brilliant lawyer, an innovative entrepreneur, and an inspiring thought leader in law. Welcome, Aaron Baer, to our show.
Thanks, John. Pleasure to be here. I'm a partner at Aaron Baer in Toronto, doing work with tech clients and M&A, and spending a lot of time thinking about how we can make the legal profession better.
That's awesome. So, today we're here to really just learn a little bit more about that world through a series of rapid fire questions. 20 questions to be exact in 5 minutes. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
All right, awesome. So let's start off with some background information. So you do corporate law. What does that entail?
Entails working with clients who have business needs and trying to solve them. It could be helping them with an M&A deal, so merger and acquisition. It could be helping them negotiate contracts. It could be doing some, reorganization or restructuring work, helping startups, working with shareholders, all over the place. Really broad and exciting practice area.
How long have you been in practice for?
Been a lawyer for about 7 or so years, was a summer student for 2 years, articled, was an associate for 5 or so years, and now a partner for the last year and a half.
What's your favorite part of the job?
Favorite part of the job is helping clients solve problems. At the end of the day, I'm a trusted advisor and they come to me when they need help, and I get to solve some puzzles and get paid for that.
What's the most challenging part of the job?
Most challenging part, I think, is definitely managing expectations. You're working with a lot of different people at the same time, and you've got competing priorities, and you need to make every client feel like they're your only client, despite that being very far from reality.
How has the CBA helped you out in your practice?
The CBA has been amazing. One of my, best mentors I met through a CBA event, and I'm just a huge fan of the events and the different, opportunities that you can get through the CBA, and would highly encourage anyone to join.
So I'd like to ask a little bit more about your educational background. Where did you go to law school?
Went to law school at Western, did a dual degree with the business school there at Ivy and the law school there, and really had a great experience, had a great time at Western.
What was the most useful thing you learned there?
I think for me, one of the challenges with law school, I think, is it's not always as practical as it could be, but I think the relationships I built and the people I met, a lot of my earliest clients were classmates of mine, and I still maintain great relationships with them.
How did you get yourself involved in extracurriculars while you were there?
In law school, I think I was always the kind of person who really wanted to be involved in things, and I think that still holds true as a lawyer. And I would highly encourage anyone, whether they're a practicing lawyer or a law student, to get involved in things you're passionate about. It'll make you happier and more fulfilled. You'll also meet people, and it'll help your career as well.
Yeah. So what's that for you in terms of extracurriculars? Like, what do you like to get involved in?
These days, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of mentoring, both formally and informally. It's working at Ryerson with their new law school, helping teach some of their students. And it's getting involved in all sorts of speaking engagements and things like that, and really trying to play a role helping make this profession more hospitable for younger lawyers.
So, Aaron, getting into some more real topics here. Have you ever felt imposter syndrome in your life?
Absolutely. I think especially earlier in my career, definitely felt that a lot, still feel it occasionally. And I think, it's important to acknowledge that it's normal for people, and especially lawyers, to feel that way. This is a tough profession when you're starting out. And I think you should be more concerned if you don't feel imposter syndrome early on, because that means you think you know more than you do, and you're probably messing up a lot of things and thinking you're providing competent advice.
So is that your advice for how to challenge this imposter syndrome going forward?
I mean, I think learning is a good counter to feeling like an imposter, but at the same time, I think you've got to be kind to yourself, and that's not always easy. But I think the more you can realize, look, even the more experienced lawyers don't have this all figured out. They're still learning, and just being more comfortable saying, I'm not going to know everything, and no one's expecting me to be perfect. And you've just got to do your best to try to believe that and accept that.
So let's talk about corporate law now. What made you first want to become a corporate lawyer?
I'm a business person at heart, always had an entrepreneurial sort of bent. And so to me, it made perfect sense. I think I sort of looked at, corporate and litigation as two of the most common areas, even though there's many more. And fighting all day with people and dealing with zero-sum games was just not it for me. So I love the fact that I'm able to work with people on the other side. We might be negotiating, but we're not fighting. We've got a common goal, and I get to work with clients to help their businesses move forward.
What's something that you learned about corporate law in your career that just made you go, whoa, when you first came to terms with it?
I think how complicated it is. Sometimes people think this stuff is easy, and at a junior level, some of it is pretty basic, even though it doesn't feel that way. But at a higher up level, there are so many moving pieces. And I think the key is you got to understand the business. The legal side is great, but if you don't understand what your clients care about and what their goals are, the legal advice doesn't matter. So you got to understand their business.
So in terms of corporate lawyers, is there anyone in particular you look up to?
I think there's a lot of great lawyers out there, and in my current firm, lots of great people. I think my colleague Don Johnson has been an incredible mentor and also someone I look up to, who is a really trusted advisor, has a great sense of humor, and is just really, really knowledgeable about so many different areas.
Okay, so to wrap things up, let's do some fun questions.
Sure.
So what's a routine that's important for you to maintain in your everyday life?
For me, I think it's exercise and sleep. I think those are two of the most important things. So trying to do my best, not always easy, to make sure I'm fitting that in. And I think with work from home, it's a little bit easier on the exercise side. So it could be taking a quick break between calls, making sure you're getting up and doing something. But I think it's so important. It's easy to be overworked in this profession, and you've really got to do your best to try to stay healthy.
What do you do to unwind after a long day other than exercise? Anything else?
In the COVID era, it means usually going for a walk with my wife. In the old days, seeing friends, seeing family, doing things like that. But again, I think, I'm getting better at just carving out time. If you don't block out time, it can be really easy for these things to not happen. And you've got to prioritize yourself at the same time as you're keeping a busy schedule.
So one final question. What advice would you give to a law student who's considering corporate law?
I think, always good to understand, what does this job look like starting out? What does it look like in 3 years, 6 years? Does that, interest me? And I think learn the business, learn things beyond just knowing the law and being a lawyer. That's what clients are going to like. If you can understand their needs and explain things in a clear, concise way without a lot of jargon, you're going to have a lot of happy clients.
Amazing. I think that sums it up. So on behalf of the Canadian Bar Association, we'd like to thank you so much for your time here with us today, Aaron.
Thanks so much, John. It's been great, being a member of the Canadian Bar Association for so many years. I found great mentors, attended a lot of great events, and would highly encourage any law student or younger lawyer who's thinking about it to definitely sign up for membership. They're not going to regret it.
And with that, we'll call this interview to an end.
Perfect.
See you soon.
Take care.
Bye.